At first look, Chef Michael Shafer might seem intimidating, standing over 6 feet tall, hair pulled back in a ponytail, and a New York attitude. But he is a man of dignity, passionate about his food and giving back to his community.
I think the one thing that my mother taught me was to give back. Even though we didn't have a lot, whenever she did, she always gave back, whether it was to a local organization or something. Anytime there was something important, she would give, $5 or something like that. And it would come back to us. People would help us, and what goes around comes around.
Born and raised in the inner city of Buffalo, New York, Shafer didn't grow up with a silver spoon in his mouth, but it made him who he is today.
My mom raised 5 of us on her own, so if we wanted to eat, we needed to learn how to cook. So my mom tells stories of me pulling a chair up to the stove so I could reach it to cook for my friends.
Shafer learned his way around the kitchen at an early age, but also to work hard for the things that he wanted.
All the kids, all 5 of us, if we wanted something, we needed to earn it. And my mom put food on the table and my mom put clothes on our back. But if we wanted something else, you needed to get a job and figure out a way to earn it.
From working as a dishwasher to a stockboard or delivering baked goods, Shafer worked them all. But staying on the straight and narrow path was tough for Shafer, who found himself hanging out with the wrong crowds.
I had a teacher who sort of straightened me out and gave me a goal. I know it's hard to believe, but I was a bit of a juvenile delinquent when I was young. And he gave me a purpose. And he even got me a full ride to college, so I owe him a lot. I even looked him up about 10 years ago and found him and said thanks, because this is what I've become. And
art education didn't keep his attention, and to make sure he stayed out of trouble, he decided it was time for a change. So at the age of 21, he left school for the hopes of something better.
Packed up everything I owned, which was not too much, a couple boxes, and drove out here with a friend and started sleeping on someone's couch again until I got my own place.
The Golden State was the perfect place to pursue his current passion in photojournalism. But with Hollywood not calling as fast as he thought, he picked up a job as a cook at the Century City Plaza Hotel, and the rest is history.
I moved to California, where I met my mentor in the 70s, who told me that this was a profession to be a chef, not a job. And it could take me anywhere and provide me with everything that I ever wanted out of life. And he was right. I've worked in 5 countries and 30 different cities, and I got a job in the hotel, and he must have seen something in me, because for the first month he would take me into his office every night and yell at me and tell me I was a useless piece of something or other. And eventually, after about the first week or so, the New York came out in me, and I said, listen, you want to teach me? Fine. You want to just yell at me? Come on outside, we'll talk. Then he goes, finally, you're going to say something. So he sat me down and we had a real good talk, and he goes, this is it. Pay attention, learn.
Alongside Walter Roth, corporate chef of the Westin Hotels, Shafer learned the ins and outs of fine cuisine.
Before he passed away, 60 or 70 chefs from all over the country flew out here to California to have dinner with him and pay homage to him before he moved to Indiana to live with his daughter, and we knew that that was the end. And everybody had dinner at a Swiss restaurant, because he was Swiss-German, up in the valley. And we went around the room and everyone told a great story about him and bid him farewell, and that was it. But he affected so many chefs in the United States and in the world through his talent and his business sense.
It was during his 3-year culinary apprentice he realized being a chef was his passion and the career he wanted to take to new heights.
Once I saw the scope and the magnitude of hotels and doing a party for 3,000 people and the glamour of setting up these grand buffets and orchestrating a meal that was a theater presentation almost, not just, you know, here's your bowl of soup, because that's the kind of place I was working in New York, you know, coffee shops and stuff like that. Just some of the parties we did were just amazing. We cooked, I was able to cook for 3 different presidents. Ronald Reagan called the Century Plaza his Western White House. We cooked for Ronnie all the time. I used to have to make raspberry jello in Waterford crystal glasses with blueberries floating in it, because that's what he liked. After I was finished with my apprenticeship, I had some friends in the industry and I said I'd like to go to Europe and find me a job in Europe. And they did. They found me a job in Vienna, Austria. I was what's called chef de partie saucier for the opera season at the Hotel Bristol. I didn't speak any German. I moved there, I was 25, I think, 24, 25. I moved to Europe all by myself, didn't speak the language, and all of a sudden was in a kitchen where I was in charge of the sauce station and had to learn German real fast and also prove myself, because here's an American in an Austrian kitchen, and if you're tested, okay, and it's a very locker room mentality, and if you don't pass the test, you will be pushed by the wayside, and I would have been out of there in a week. I would have been out of there in less than a week if I didn't prove myself.
And just like his mentor said, this career could take him anywhere he wanted in the world, and Shafer was ready for the ride.
I ran the station for the whole opera season, and then when the season was over, the director of that hotel got me a job working in the Austrian Alps at a winter resort called the Kaiserhof Hotel. So I worked the winter season there, and by then my German was good enough where I could apply for jobs. So I applied for a job back in Vienna for the grand ball season at a 50-room palace where they had all the grand balls in their huge ballrooms. And I worked there for the grand ballroom season, then met some friends, and ended up opening a Caribbean bar with them called Bunu Nunus. And we had tropical drinks, and it was fun because I could use my art talent because I designed a new menu, and this is an art in itself. So, because when you put a plate down, people eat with their eyes first, then they eat with their nose, then they finally taste it. So, you have to be the presentation. So I'm still using my art. Plus, I designed the restaurant and everything like that. So I'm constantly using my art it's just a different form.
At age 26, Shafer's career took off, and he began getting a real taste of what being a chef was truly about. And through his various employments, his palate grew, and so did his book of recipes.
I called another friend, and he got me a job up in Norway, working for Scandinavian Airlines, where they wanted me to internationalize their kitchen. I was 25, 26, and I was doing California cuisine out there. Tacos and burritos and, tostadas and nouvelle cuisine, the French style of nouvelle cuisine in the fine dining room, and Southern cooking.
An executive sous chef position at the Century Plaza brought him back to the United States, and it wasn't long before he met his better half and also started his roots here in the South Bay.
We would always joke that when we would walk by a travel agency and they had a picture of this castle in Banff, Canada, and she said that would be a really nice place to go on a special, that special trip, just as a joke. And she came back from a business trip, and I had a poster hanging in our house, and I go, "You want to go to Banff?" And I gave her a ring. And she cried for 2 days, and then I had to hit her 3 times. No, I'm only joking. But we got married. We got married at the hotel that I was the chef at, And I went into the kitchen in the morning, cooked all the food, went and put a suit on, got married, went back in the kitchen, made sure everything was in the oven, and enjoyed the party.
And together they had 3 boys, Spencer, Max, and then Noah. Chef runs a tight ship at work and an even tighter one at home.
You have to be a leader at home, and you have to be a leader here. You know, you have to be, everyone calls me, you know, the old man. We even called my chef the old man, okay? It is a family sort of thing, and he is Papa, you know, and he can be, you know, the guy who you sit on his lap and he's nice, or he could be the guy who sends you to your room because you've been a bad boy, you know, and it's the same thing here. I have, most of my employees have been with me over 15 years. I have employees that have been with me here all 25, and we're a family, and they know that if they don't play by the rules, Daddy's gonna scold you. And if they do play by the rules, everything will be great and we'll get ice cream.
Shafer's father wasn't around much growing up, but he made sure to be there for his own children.
Both Nancy and I both come from broken homes. So we both know there's a couple rules. In front of me and for life, you will always love each other. You can kill each other outside of my house, but in my house, you love each other. And we're family, and there's nothing you can do about that. That's for life.
And he has his mother to thank for where he is today.
It bugs me because he never understood what I became without him. And all I wanted him ever to do was just say, damn, pretty good, kid. In touch with each other throughout the years and stuff like that, but it was always very cold and distant.
Family has always been very important to him, which is why he decided to move his mother from the East Coast closer to him.
Well, she's 96, and living alone in Buffalo with the winters and everything like that, it just got to be too much. In our old house, there were too many stairs, and she slipped and fell, and we had to put her in a home. And the home that we had her in, I just hated. And my one sister and I were flying back and forth every couple months to help her out with this or that or the other. And it just got to be too hectic, where we said, we got to bring her out here. So she didn't want to come, of course, and it was really a tough move. But now she's in a wonderful home up in Woodland Hills, 1.5 miles from my other sister, who's a nurse practitioner and her advocate.
And being his own boss was another top priority. Chef worked in all of these restaurants and hotels, and it was time for him to run his own show under his own roof.
When I met my ex-partners, they already had 3 restaurants, and they were developing this restaurant already. I sat next to one of my partners at a meeting for a chef's organization, and we started talking, and I said, you know, I'd like you to look at my proposal. I'm trying to, you know, open my own place. And he said, boy, I really like this concept. Let's do it together, and we did. So that's how Depot came. We already had other restaurants. And then eventually, I was their corporate chef for all restaurants, and we had some more, and then we parted friends. The building itself is a historical site. It was built in 1912, the same year that the city of Torrance came about. We had our 100th anniversary, 2012. It was a train station for the red car system. The inside is all what we put in. The exterior is still original.
The Depot restaurant opened on October 1991, taking over the historic building of the Pacific Electric Railway Depot, designed more than 100 years ago by architect Irving Gill.
Very urban. Since we are in downtown Torrance, I wanted it to be a very urban sort of feel, like you could walk into this restaurant and you'd know you were in a restaurant in Detroit or Chicago or New York. It has a very rich Art Deco-y sort of feel.
And his art showed up again on a plate.
We call it global cuisine, which means it's a little bit of everything, you know, and we have a very broad menu with everything from Asian influence to Italian to Central European to Mexican to California. It's just a very big fusion or melting pot of the kind